Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan and thank you for coming to the channel. This is my 88 60H 22 and a half gallon aquarium, and on New Year's Eve this fish nerd was inside giving it a total haircut, if that's the right word, more like a deforestation of this tank. I cut the hell out of all the plants. It was so lush and so plush and so full of plants. I had to do it. So I've cut the tops off of just about everything. I removed, where to start? Okay, so I trimmed the Sterigen repens down to the tippy tops and replanted those. I pulled all the Blixa japonica, this plant here, and just put a couple small plantlets back in. I trimmed the hair grass, pulled out some excess crypts that were crowding in with the ones that you already see there. There were like 4 more besides that. They were just crammed in there. I cleared out the Hygrophila pinnipitata, Jesus. To reveal one of the things I do like seeing, this neat compact Christmas moss, the way it's creating a flat surface, almost a ledge over that piece of driftwood, is pretty cool. There's still some of the Hygrophila P there. I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. This is more of the same with the Blixa, just a few plantlets there. Here I left the taller growth of Sterigen repens, so this is what it would look like if I cut it down. But I was happy with all the growth there. Didn't see any dead leaves at the bottom or spindly stems, so I just kept it there. I pulled out some of the AR plant, the beautiful red one, and trimmed off all the gnarly leaves and put it back in. I put a small one I found back there over to the left here. This plant, I didn't do anything. It's a super slow grower, and it's finally, I had trimmed this tank 2 weeks ago and it's starting to reach for the top, but it takes a while. And so that one is the same, but here on this driftwood, there was so much moss like that in every nook and cranny. It was literally softball size blobs of it, and Hygrophila P too. This plant here was all up and over. That's what all these white roots are that you see, and that's where I get the term deforestation, because it looks like I've just denuded the forest here of all greenery. I wanted to see, just to finish off, this is the Rotala Indica green. I cut all the tops off of it and basically placed them in the back there and removed the Ludwigia repens. That was just a mess below the light, and I just was tired of having beautiful tops and hideous bottoms, so to speak. I added a little bit of Java moss in there, and I added some of my Vallisneria from another tank in there, and it looks a little bit pathetic in my opinion, at least compared to what it was. And up here I added a couple cuttings of pothos into one of these nifty little contraptions that, and I don't need to remove any ammonia or nitrates from this tank. I wanted to try to fill up some of that negative space in the back now, because if you pull out, there it is. You see all that negative space, the black background. You never could see that before. The good news is you never could see the fish before, not really. Well, actually you could, up until you couldn't at the very end. But here they all are, school of SB res boras and some ember tetras, a beautiful pearl, honey gourami. You saw him going back there. And then of course, the angelic and alien longfin bristlenose pleco, the albino, or it might be, and I hope it is, the lemon blue eye. Either way, I did a whole video on that fish. Next to him, a panda Coreodora. I don't know how many are left in this tank. And of course there's a bunch of shrimp and stuff. So it was New Year's Eve and I wanted, you know, a fresh start basically. So I spent hours on this tank and a couple others, but I'm focusing on this one now. And I did the same thing to all of them. I just clear cut the aquarium. Now I wanted to show you what it looks like right after that sort of trimming. It's not a pretty sight, you know, and it always bums my head because it was really beautiful looking before, but just like, for example, if a woman has really long, beautiful hair, she still has to cut it, right? Eventually, I mean, unless you're Lady Godiva, you've got to cut your hair. So this tank had become, or not Lady Godiva, pardon me, a Rapunzel with the long hair. I had to cut it down, and I just had to. You have to do it, right? It's for the best. It's not just to see your fish more or because of aesthetics. The aesthetics were great in this tank when the plants were super lush and plush, but for their health, especially at the undercarriage, where, you know, and to allow light back in the tank for something like Blixa, it's just a rule of thumb. You need to do it. You have to cut your tanks eventually, and so rather than do a little bit here and there, I just pulled out the machete and went to town on this. In 2 weeks, I'm guessing the Rotala indica will be almost to the top, certainly to the bottom of that pothos thing. Once it gets its mojo, it's gonna grow almost an inch a day, maybe ½ inch a day is more realistic. And this remaining moss is gonna start to do what it does. And what's really gonna be interesting is from all these white roots, you're gonna see a bunch of the Hygrophila P, as I'll call it so I don't butcher the name, start to reform tight to the driftwood. And I'm really looking forward to that because, well, it's gonna be awesome. And to get to awesome, you have to break some, you know, you have to create some UGG. You know, create an omelet, you got to break some eggs, that old saw. And so I took my saw and cut the hell out of this tank. Now I love these two pieces of driftwood that I pushed together to form like antlers, or as I originally called it, a throne. And I called this my Game of Thrones tank, when you could see only cereal stone and these two kind of foreboding pieces of wood. It looked like a throne out of that TV show. It doesn't really look like that anymore because even though I cut the hell out of the plants, it's still pretty heavily planted. But that's the other thing. Not only could I see the fish now, but I can see this beautiful gray stone. And I had given up the hardscape pretty much for plant growth. I was so excited to have excellent plant growth. I only cut it here and there, one thing at a time. But this, for New Year's, it's like a new tank. I don't like what I'm looking at, but I know it was necessary. And I'm betting the farm that in 2 weeks, it's gonna look really terrific. I'm such an impatient man. I want it to look really terrific now. But this is what happens when you do maintenance on a grand scale, and you're gonna have to do it one way or the other. Either the tank's gonna have a system fail and you'll have to do it out of necessity, or you can do it in a maintenance fashion as I did. So I hope this was informative. You know, pull out your own machete. Don't be shy. I mean, I'm the worst at doing that. I hate doing it. I like lush, that's the name of the channel, Lush and Salty. But it had to be done and I did it, and so here you are. This is the result. Of course, in 15 days, give or take, I will do another video of this tank and we'll see what's going on, how it's progressed. All right, everybody, have a wonderful 2023, and always keep your hands in the tank. Lord knows I did. Ciao for now.